All right, cool. We're recording. How you doing, Sean?
Hey, how you doing, Dave?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. So, you go by Gista, right?
That's correct.
How did that come about? How did that name come about? Tell me about that.
Um, Neighborhood thing, man. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, 7th Ward to be exact. I was a producer as a young age, very, very young. I'm talking about like 11 years old.
Wow.
Everybody kind of referred to my beats as gangster. So they want a Gista beat. So we all came up with this thing. I had a couple homeboys. We try to, was kind of formulating some kind of rap thing going on at the time. And I was the Gista. So I just ran with it, man.
That's cool. And clearly it's stuck and it's now your professional name, correct?
Correct, correct. It's been my professional name for over going on 30 years now, man.
Wow. So how young were you when you first got introduced to music, and how young were you when you decided that this is what I want to do?
I was 11 years old when I got actually younger than that. My uncle, shout out to my uncle Carl Marshall. He's a big blues artist. I had one of them type of uncles that was really, really heavy in the music business, one of them flashy guys. When he came around, it was always exciting to see him. He had this beat machine at the time. I was 7 years old. Instead of him running me away from it, he like, you like that, huh? You like it. And he eventually gave it to me. Eventually, then a couple years later, I was around 89, 90. He moved down to New Orleans, opened up a real big studio facility in the city of New Orleans. And, he offered me a summer job, as a kid, pretty much told me, hey, you can make you a living like this. But I was so intrigued by music already and hip hop and everything. I went on there and started messing around. And he said, hey, man, you're going to get serious about this. You're going to be around me. You're going to have to get serious about this. So he just didn't know I already had, I love making music. I love music. So that wasn't nothing. And this just stuck with me, man. It was also a refuge for me to do music and stay out the streets. You know what I'm saying? Even though I
Mhm.
was surrounded by a lot of stuff that was going on in my immediate home and stuff like that. But music was my refuge. And I always had to get away to go out and do something positive with my life. And it kept me out of a lot of things. You know what I mean?
And that's incredible because so many people can very easily go the other way with
Absolutely.
the circumstances they're given in life.
Right,
It's so
right.
easy to be drug into terrible circumstances when you're kind of surrounded by them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that could have been my situation. The story could have been totally different, but I stuck with it high through junior high school, I was producing at the time. I was, doing demos for kids and stuff like that around my age at the time. And, I was just so I was more advanced at my age of production than many were, you know what I mean? It had the guys would come around and be like, hey, this kid is gonna be something special. And from their mouth to God's ears. Look at me now. You know what I mean?
Man, that is awesome. That is so awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's a success story, right? That's like every person who aspires to being a musician or some sort of artist, that's what they want. They want to that I mean, that's like the golden story right there, right? Where you started young and then you just kind of work your way into it, and then now you're a successful music producer, rapper, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's about the opportunity that was presented to me. I was one of those kids that was fortunate, like I said, to have somebody in my life and a mentorship in my life as a young age, and kept me in the straight and narrow with that. Like I said, music was my getaway. It was my refuge from all of the drama, all of the stuff that I was surrounded by, and it was out also an outlet for me to even when I became, started. I ain't gonna say started rhyming, but when I recorded my rap records, my albums, it was something that I could kind of, kick it on my own music and make my own beats and tell my own side of the story, in my
What
own artistic way.
what kind of things inspired your music specifically?
Um, a lot of I'm gonna tell you straight up, a lot of gangster rap at the time. Gangster rap was one of the things that was really popping when I was coming up, especially in the '90s. You know what I mean? That was my era as a kid. And really just by the beats and stuff. A lot of West Coast music. Say I'm from the South. We had a little bit of everything. But a lot of course, I grew up before that, it was East Coast, my sister, my older sister, shout out to my older sister, Delonda. She was the one who really, really made me get into this hip hop thing, and turned me on to it as a young kid. And, once again, I gained the love for it and, listening to artists and wind up meeting those same artists that I grew up on in my journey and
Wow.
able to have a relationship with those guys and stuff like that. And was able to tell them, hey man, you inspired me as a kid, to do what I'm doing right now and, be able to tell them that. But yeah, man, different genres of music. I didn't just listen to rap. I listened to rock and roll. I listened to a lot of blues, R&B and blues. Um, Worked with a lot of reggae, especially reggae music. I was so heavily influenced by reggae music. It was like playing all day, every day in my household. You know what I'm saying? Uh, a whole lot of different things, a lot of elements. And then by being in the studio setting as a kid with all the musicians that came through and came by and recording and stuff, I was able to be exposed to every type of genre of music and eventually touched every genre of music. So
Wow.
it was an adventure, man.
So kind of walk me through your story a little bit. You started in high school, and then after that, you recorded your own stuff. You wrote your own music. You had your own records.
Yes.
What came from that?
Um, Pretty much, just the love of it. It was an art form. You know what I mean? Just to
Did you
have the capabilities and the access to the equipment to do these things. You know what I'm saying? Um,
did you
you
see
know,
did you see success in the music industry after that?
No, because what happened, you go through your emotions of your growth. You know what I'm saying? I didn't take the shortcut. I'm gonna put it that way. A lot of guys they come in, they get a deal as a young kid, and next thing you know, the industry and spit them out by the time they're in their mid 20s or their 30s. You know what I mean? That wasn't my situation. I was able to pick up and understand that this is more of a business. I got more attached to trying to own my own label and my own production company. And
Mm,
I understood that what I was worth. You know what I'm saying? I learned the business. I learned about, and thank God for my uncle once again. My uncle, he showed me a lot of the ins and outs about, points and, I was registered with BMI at 15 years old and stuff
wow.
like that, understanding publishing and, writers and stuff like that, and knowing that what I'm supposed to get, is never what you're worth, is what you negotiate. And I learned that from the great Wendy Day. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that part of it, just taking those elements of the business side and putting it to what I already knew for as my skills, because you can easily get, like I said, you easily get ate up and swallowed up and spit out in this business. You know what I mean? And I can honestly put my right hand to God and say nobody ever made a penny off the G-ster but the G-ster. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying? And I'm very, very, very proud to say that. Very
That's awesome. That's awesome. How difficult is it to break through in that industry?
It's difficult, very difficult because I mean, back when I started, when back in the late '90s or mid '90s or whatever, um, it wasn't so accessible to be an artist. You had to go through the process. You had to
Mhm.
go through getting signed. You had to go through A&Rs. They don't have none of that stuff no more, man. You know what I mean? That's the
Right.
thing. From then to now, I went through I even went through the stages from analog recording to the digital side of recording. You know what I mean? I started on analog. I
Wow.
started on reel-to-reel tapes and stuff like that,
Wow.
and modules and a big old 24, 32 channel board and stuff like that. So I seen a lot of evolution of the business with everything from the business side of it. I even said when I did my first album back in '97, which was Misery, um, that album, I was saying then, music is gonna be free at some point. And look
Wow.
at it now. You get to download music. Now they got smarter with it. You got to, sign up with like these streaming sites.
Right.
You
Right.
got access to every song, every album that ever came out that's available. So I saw the evolution of it a long time ago. You know
It's
what I mean?
crazy. It's crazy to think about that. You literally could just record something from your phone and just throw it on a streaming platform. It's like that's how I'm not sure how like fond you are of country music, but that's how that Oliver Anthony guy got discovered just this last year.
Oh wow,
He
really?
he recorded his song on an Android phone and then
Great.
uploaded to YouTube.
That's how it go, man. That's how it is. You know, these phones is they made it very, very easy these days to do what we do. You know what I mean? Like I come from the old school of it, you know what I mean? Even though I am still kind of young, but I come from the old school era of it. And I saw, like I said, I saw the elevation of it. Um, it's something else, man. It made it a lot easier, a whole
Oh,
lot.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it could be more difficult too, I guess, because like, some of those people may not ever break through because you're just I mean, there's so many people doing it now, and
Yeah,
it's so easy and
everybody.
accessible for everybody to do.
Yes. I kind of envy that a little bit, but I don't. You know what I mean? Because when I was starting out, you had to really be good. You had to know what you was doing. You had to be, a really talented person. You
You
know,
gotta
you
be
had
in
to
it and
know,
live the
yeah,
lifestyle.
yeah, you had to really be that. And now, anybody can make a record now, man. It's
That's crazy.
amazing. And they celebrate it. So it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's both a good thing and a bad thing, right? Like, I guess if you're an artist and you're really truly good and you are trying to break through, it could be very difficult and defeating, I'm sure. But
Yeah, it can. But you know what else I noticed that a lot of artists that's not so talented, a lot of songs that's breaking through now. I mean, I'm not really keen on the records that's coming out today.
mm,
Like, like the album, like my record, Classic Status, right? I put Classic Status out like on the third quarter of last year. I've been recorded the record. I recorded that record back in 2014. And
wow.
it was a record that I was working on the album for Classic Status because I did a series of mixtapes. Well, what I did, I started it in 2010. And what I did, I took all of the old school records that I grew up on, like in the 80s, and I did freestyles on. That was my first mixtape at the time. And then I wound up doing a volume two. I saw the success with that. I was touring with Bone Thugs and Harmony. Shout out to Bone Thugs and Harmony, my brothers. I started going out there putting it out there, performing this stuff, and I started seeing people gravitating to it. Mind you, social media started to become a really, really big thing at the end of like around 2008, 2009, stuff like that. So you're starting to really be hands-on with the followers and the listeners that's out there, and you start to see what they really, really was gravitating to. And I was able to kind of wing my way through it a little bit and kind of feel my way through the whole motions of that. And then when I did that, I was like, yo, I'm gonna go ahead on and put an album out. Wound up doing several mixtapes. I wound up putting out like about 5 or 6 mixtapes in the process when I did Classic Status. But just so happened last year, 2023, we was able to celebrate the 50th year of hip hop. You know what I mean? Just so happened I had that record in my vault. I went it on and got it mixed out, ran to Hollywood. I'm out here in Vegas now. Ran to Hollywood by my man Dave Banner. Shout out to Dave Banner. He's a big time platinum, multi-platinum engineer. Got with Dave, mixed that record down, put it out there, man. And once I put it out there, all of the DJs across the world, they got a hold of it. I'm getting all type of DMs and Instagram and all this stuff. And they like, yo, we love this. We love this. This is great. Is one DJ told me, man, we finally got something that we like.
Wow.
Usually we got to play stuff that, we don't really like and we don't really care, but this is a forever record. And they supported it. I shot the video to it. Shout out to Money Shot Chris and LA Create. They, met him here in Vegas and we got together, shot the video. The video took off immediately, like hit 1 million streams in like 12 days. And,
Jeez.
just hit 1 million streams on YouTube now and stuff like that. Spotify got over 100,000 some streams on the Spotify. And the records took a life of its own and took off. And now we're here. You know what I mean? Now I'm getting ready to shoot my next video for the album, and that's going to be even bigger than that. So I'm excited about everything that's happening.
Do you attribute that success to I mean, obviously you're good at what you do, but you obviously have a team of people helping you. Do you attribute a lot of it to the people you surround yourself with?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I love my team. My team is amazing. I got my DJ Blacknificent. Shout out to him. My DJ Dragos, he's out in Hollywood. Shout out to him as well. You know, my film crew, like LA Parade, Money Shot Chris, my publicist, um, everybody, man, everybody, my Brandon, my partner Trav, he's my branding guru. You know, we've been together for at least 10 years now. You know, he stepped in when I was starting the mixtape series and stuff like that. And he came in and we picked up and we started rolling, and he kind of helped me rebrand So Stimulus Entertainment to where it's at now. So, you know, my team is amazing and I'm very appreciative of them. I'm very happy, you know. I definitely credit them to answer your question. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to have the right people surrounding you because with that, you can be as successful as you could possibly be. I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree with that, man. Because your team is you're just as good as your team are, man. You know, I'm a big win. I'm a big engine. I am the engine of the whole operation. You know what
right.
I'm saying? So I facilitate it all, make sure everything. It's hard now. I mean, the biggest challenge is to trying to get everybody on the same page. But once you get it there, like I think where we at now, we all on the same page and we all moving in unison and we all moving in one accord. And we seeing some great success from it. You know, we just getting started, man.
That's
I
awesome.
say even though I've been doing it for many years, but I still always kind of rewrite, re-strategize to say I'm just getting started because
That's
I know
awesome.
what's to come. I know what's to come.
So I guess like for the people listening, they probably want to know a little bit more about you. What is a normal day in Gista's life? What does a normal day look like to you? What do you do?
Well, I'm not just in the music anymore. You know, I had to get older and you had to get other things to go with that.
That's
You know,
right.
because music is a passion and it's also primary to me. You know, it's necessary. So I'm always put it first. Everything I do is for this. But I'm also now I've been became a very successful insurance specialist. You know, I'm a producer and a adjuster. Been working with different companies for the last couple years. You know, did very well. You know, in that. And I'm actually entering into my other phase of my technical. I'm getting to the IT world now as a scrum master. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's something that I'm doing right now as we speak. I'm making that transition as you speak. So my day-to-day activities is business, operating, facilitating projects and IT projects and stuff like that, insurance projects, whatever it is. And then the music, facilitating what's going on with the music, contacting promoters and, talking to my team and, you know, definitely on a one-on-one basis with my publicist and she's doing an amazing job keeping me going with doing these different appearances and interviews and stuff like that. So just facilitating pretty much. That's my day-to-day object. And then I'm in my studio right now, um in my studio working on music. Gotta keep the music coming.
What keeps you inspired? I mean, what keeps you going? I mean, because it's so easy to get burned out, especially when you got so many different projects going. And how do you keep going? What inspires you day to day?
um well, I mean, what inspires me is that I have people that's looking up to me. I have a lot of people that's leaning on me for inspiration. At that, if long as I'm inspiring them, they inspire me. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? My audience, my fans, my peers, my community, my hometown, my team. Just long as I'm able to do what I'm doing and inspire somebody else that they could do just as good, that what keeps me going. I just want to be. I think the highest thing to life is to be inspiration, to inspire. That's the
mhm.
highest. That's one of the highest things you could do in life is be inspiration and inspire somebody to do something. That's because there's a lot of challenges and challenges do beat you up. You know what I mean? But I'm a fighter. I'm a more of a I think of it more like an athlete. You know what I mean? I'm a very competitive person, and I'm always trying to find a way to plan and win. You know what I'm saying? And try to make sure that we achieve and be productive. And having a productive day is what inspires me. Just making things happen. Just the productivity is what inspires me. So, and like I said, just those that's following my footsteps or watching me or that's taking notes and that inspired by what I'm doing, that definitely keeps me going. Definitely.
It's so crazy to me to because I know a guy that I work with. his name's Sway Boy. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. That's his it's his like stage name. He's his rapper name, whatever. Um, but we work on an assembly line at General Motors, and during like an hour or 2 hour session, like while we're working, he'll just be writing lyrics, and then by the end of that 2 hours, he has a whole song.
That's dope.
He's great, like
I
spit.
think we all have been through that, man. My closest friend, my brother Wesley, shout out to West. I remember we was working in a mailroom in New Orleans, and I rode around right in front of him with no beat or nothing. Because usually I have the beat already made, but I wrote this story about this kid and this life that he was living coming up, and I wound up writing it on paper. And one day I wound up recording it. I put the track to it and recorded it, and I let him hear it. And he was like, "Did you write that in front of me at work?" You know, like, yep. It was like, damn. So he knew I was the truth then when I did that. But yeah, it happens that way because when you're inspired, man, and you in a creative zone, it hits you. I'll be in my bed sometime, man, and something hit me. Like I did this one record that I be getting ready to shoot the video for I win. I came up with them lyrics laying down in the middle of the night in my bed.
Wow.
The TV was off. My wife was next to me. I'm just laying in the bed, throwing these lyrics in my head. So when I got up the next day and got in here and got in the studio, I was able to attack it. And man, it came out to be a smash. A smash.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm excited about this record. I am so excited about it.
What's the name of the record? The latest record?
The latest record that we're getting ready to shoot the video for is called I Win.
I Win. And what inspired that?
Just challenges, saying that I'm going to win. You know,
What kind of
first of
challenge?
all, I put the track down first. Let me say this: I produced the track, and I have been sitting on this track for a couple, maybe 3 years or so, like that. I just never got around to get on it, but I always kind of knew what direction I was going to go with it. Far as you know, the rhyme scheme and the caterings of the rhyme, but when I really sat down, it's you know, and I don't write these rhymes on paper. It just comes to me. I just get in front of my mic and just let it go.
Wow.
So when it came to me, it just flowed out and it kind of gave me the direction of the subject where I need to go. And basically, it's talking about all the adversities and all of the challenges that I overcame. You know what I'm saying? And once again, to inspire those that's dealing with the same thing that the challenges that I dealt with along my journey, that they can win too. You know what I mean? So it's more of
Right.
an inspiring record. Even though we're going to shoot it on a really Las Vegas strip with the flashy love, the nightlife in Las Vegas. It's going to be one of them type of videos. But the whole message to this song is that if I win, you can win, and we win. You know what I'm saying? And we could overcome anything that we can and any challenge that we put our mind to if we just make sure that we stay grounded and be true to ourselves and know who we are and pull from that. And then you'll win. I'm a living proof of it. You know what I mean?
Dude, I love that. I love that. And that's such an important message to a lot of people, especially young people today.
Oh
Because
yeah,
I mean, you look at like, I mean, depression and anxiety and all that's like through the roof, like way more than probably ever before.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
young
I've been
people,
there. I've been there, man. I've been there.
it's easy to be there.
Just for that, just what you said, I've been through those different channels. I've been down that rabbit hole of depression and not sure about if I wanted to live to see the next day, and you know, taking a shot at, you know, trying to do something to myself and all of this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? We this is the type of stuff that I pull from within myself. You know what I mean? I'm not ashamed to talk about it. I'm not ashamed to tell nobody, yeah, I was facing suicidal thoughts at one point, contemplating suicide. I'm not afraid to talk about that because now I'm in this space. I'm much stronger to say, hey, you could get through this. And this is how it works. Everybody got their own different path. Everybody got their own different way of addressing it, but it can be done. You know what I mean? And I get inspired when I see people come out of their dark places because it's life. You know what I mean? It's definitely life.
Yeah, and then when you're strong enough to share your experiences and that's so meaningful to other people
Absolutely.
to hear that, especially somebody like yourself who is such a big figure, you know, when somebody hears you say that, they're like, "Oh, wow. Like,
Right. Right.
I can do it too."
I don't think you have that in hip hop right now. You know what I mean? You don't have it. The ones that we did have that said that they took them away from us. You know, Tupac Shakur, Nipsey Hussle, you know, and so many other great brothers that came and went before us, you know.
How is it possible that Tupac had so many awesome songs and he died in his 20s?
You know what? I'm gonna tell you something about Tupac Shakur. My journey had me cross paths with his family in
Wow.
Atlanta, Georgia, when I lived in Atlanta. I was able to work on one of his projects um, with his mother. God bless Afeni Shakur forever. She was a beautiful, beautiful person, a magnificent woman, strong woman. So I could see where Pac pulled from her. You know what I mean? And I'm good with his cousins and his auntie, Aunt Gloria. Shout out to all of them. That's like they embrace me like family. You know what I mean? So I could kind of the energies in the universe always connects in some type of way. You know, when you're inspired by something and you wind up going down this journey and you wind up meeting these same people that inspired you to be where you are and think
Yeah.
the way you think. You know what I mean? So back to the point of Pac was just a different individual. I think that this is just me of my assumption of what I observed from him and his movement. He was just, Pac had a lot going on in his time as a young man, and he had some really big challenges. Like if he was in his 40s or 50s at the time. But the way he addressed them, like he'd tell you, hey, I make mistakes. I made plenty of mistakes along the way. I didn't have nobody to tell me, hey, Pac, don't go this way or don't go that way. Like I maybe had somebody to tell me, hey, Sean, don't go this way, don't go that way. I mean, I had that in my life.
Right.
I didn't have to go out there and be 8180 head first about it. Because I had people that was always around me that really was hard on me and wanted to make sure that I took the right direction. But Pac,
Was there anybody at the time that was as prolific as him, or was he one of the first?
I don't think he was the first. I think Pac came in the midst of Chuck D, Ice Cube, X Clan, all of these great philosophers. Well, there's so many more that I can't, think of right at the top of my head. But
But
it's so big.
was he like the most prolific for his generation?
I think so. And for his generation, yes, absolutely, absolutely, he was. And then the generation after that, I think was Nipsey Hussle.
Okay.
I think Nipsey Hussle was the generation after that.
What was it like to meet his mom?
Amazing. She showed me so much love. I can remember it like yesterday. She saw me. It was like, "You a Gista? Is you Gista? That shit hot. That shit hot." Because she was talking about the record that I worked on the album that we did, The Rose That Grew from Concrete Part 2. She was a magnificent soul, man. And then the second time, I talked to her, my homeboy Marcus, he's in Atlanta. Shout out to Marcus. He was one of her messengers. He called me one day from the center because I live right across the street in Atlanta from the Tupac Amaru Shakur Performing Arts Center in
Wow.
Stone Mountain. And he called me one day. He was sitting next to it, and he gave her the phone, and she was like, "Hey, geez, I got something for you. I'm gonna send something for you." And she sent me some weed. So I was like, that was a blessing, just anything, any type of blessing that she gave, any inspiring words, any type of good energy, a smile, that blessed me with her. You know what I mean? So she was
Yeah.
good. She was good. She
What
was
an
good.
opportunity of a lifetime. That's so cool.
Yeah, man. I met Notori. I met Violetta Wallace too one night. Met her at the Fatburger in Georgia, in Atlanta, when the Biggie album, the Biggie Duets album. Bone was a part of it at the time. Me and Bone Thugs was really, really, me and Lazy Bone was like brothers. So shout out to Lazy Bone, man. That's my brother. I was, had an invite to the party for the album listening party out that end for one of my good brothers out there. And I invited Lay, like, you need to come meet her, you need to come represent the album because Crazy Bone is on the album. You know what I'm saying? And that was the record, the Spit Your Game, Talk Your Shit, that record.
Okay.
That record was on that album. So I was like, yo, you got to come out. So he came out and we all hang out with her, had a chance to kick it with her, take pictures and stuff. Mind you, social media wasn't around at this time. You know what I mean? So this was all before social media.
Right. I mean, you had mentioned a few times that you worked with Bone Thugs.
Yes.
what are some of the other artists that you've had the opportunity of producing for or working with?
I worked with BG from Cash Money Records. I worked with BG at the time. He was on his independent role. He did some good things. Worked with the Nappy Roots, did some tours with them. Um, Dougie Fresh is a really good friend of mine. Me and Dougie did, he called in and did a few drops for me for my first mixtape. You know, um, I work with a lot of blues artists. I work with a lot of local artists in New Orleans. MCL is one of the artists that I work. He was out of my neighborhood at the time. You know, he's actually from my neighborhood. He was one of our biggest rappers at the time from our era in our neighborhood that represented the 7th Ward, the Hardheads. And I was able to work with him. The record that I did with him, it turned out to be one of his biggest records that came out, you know, and I was young. I was 15 years old when I did that one. Wow, man, so many more. I did a lot of outside stuff with a lot of other artists outside of rap. You know,
Okay.
we worked with Mariah Carey, with Bone, Vine, Twister, you know, Frankie J. I'm just kind of off the top of my head. So many people that we work with, man.
That's
A
so
lot of them.
cool.
Yes.
That is so cool. I mean, you talk about like motivation and like the reason to keep going, but when you get the opportunity to rub shoulders with some of the best people in the industry, that's
Yeah.
got to be like such a great inspiration to want to just keep going and do
Absolutely.
your thing.
Absolutely. Yes. Hey, man, I met them all. I met LL, Big Daddy Kane. You know, like I said, me and Dougie go back. Chuck D had a very special encounter with him. Shout out to Chuck D from Public Enemy. I will see you again, Chuck. I should have got his phone number and kept in touch with him, but always the stars line up as always.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm working on this other album that I have in the wing right now. It's called The Insurrection, January 6th. And I started this album back when it happened back in 2022, something like that.
Yeah.
I started this album. A lot of people at the time was scared to even work with me on the album. I was putting it
Really?
together, but yeah, they were scared. It was like, I don't
Why?
know. I guess they felt like they didn't know the direction I was going with it. It really didn't. But I think that the album was, it wasn't bashing about left wingers or right wingers or anything like that. It was really about bringing everybody together. Just like the right wingers, they went in there and they did what they did. They overthrew the government and they stood up for what
I
they
tried.
believed in. Guess what? We just need to think about that, but we need to think about that as humankind, as human dignity. Like I think that if we overthrew the things that we didn't agree with our human dignity, then what would it be like? And that's from black people, Caucasians, Asians, Hispanics, everybody, the whole world.
Yeah.
Everybody need to understand each other and understand each other's strengths and understand each other's weaknesses and come together and we overthrow the things that we don't agree with. For
I
as I
think that's such an important thought because we get like stuck in these like echo chambers of like what right and left. Like it's funny because I have an American flag and an AR-15 behind me, so it makes me look like I'm extreme right wing, but I'm not. It's a whiskey decanter. So
yeah,
but we get stuck in these echo chambers of like right and left and what's right and what's wrong and you're right and I'm wrong or I'm right and you're wrong
right,
and we don't sit there and think about like the whole January 6th thing. We don't think about like what took place as a culture that got us to that moment.
right.
Mm.
That's
And
good.
how can we avoid that? You know?
Well, you know what? It's been done now. It was a statement that was made. That's how I look at it. I feel like it was a statement that was made, whether it went down in the most righteous way or not. It was a statement that was made. I think that
Well, what I'm getting at though is like sure there was a statement that was made, but there was a mindset that was already set
right.
prior to that, right? Because there was people that agreed to go there.
Yeah, they was riding with
And
with the president at the time. You know what I mean? The president is really, I'm going to say he incited it, but he really just like he he saw he knew what was going on. You know what I mean? A lot of people they feel like Donald Trump was this type of president. Donald Trump was that type of president. I saw at the time, it was amazing with him. It was amazing with that guy in the seat because when every time something came on the news and every time he addressed the media, you had to watch it. He had your attention. You know what I mean? He had your undivided attention, whether you walked away saying from this guy's an asshole or
Right.
he's right. You know what I mean? You
Right.
know, it was a lot going on. But I also say this too, in our culture, in our community, we had a lot going on as well. You know, we had a lot of police brutality, a lot of killings and stuff that was being publicized and unjustified, you know. So the temperature was really hot at the
Yeah.
time when
That's
Trump was
also a very good point because we were just coming out of COVID, correct?
that no, we're actually going into it. We were
Uh,
actually we
Yeah.
were dab
Yeah.
in it. You know what I mean? Especially when January 6th happened, it was already out there. You know what
So
I
we
mean?
had the lockdowns and everything, so everybody was just pent up. Like,
Oh,
everybody was already revving at, like, 90, 90, you
yeah, it
know,
was
and
bad,
so
man. It was crazy, man. That was
it was a
something else.
crazy year.
Yes, it definitely was. But like I said, you know, I learned a lot from it. All you could do is just sit back and just soak it all in and study it and analyze it to see, you know, what is the logic in all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what I did. That's why I decided to do the records for this. I wanted to, first of all, I did it for a few reasons. Number one, at the time, I saw what was happening in hip hop, right? And my whole thing, and let me just say this, Dave, my whole thing with everything that I do is for the cause and it's for the purpose of hip hop. It's in the name of hip hop. Everything that I do, because that's my code. That's my thing right there. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So if I could put it in hip hop form, if I could teach elementary school or elementary kids anything about ABCs, I'm gonna try to put it in a more fashioned way of hip hop because it's more exciting. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Right.
more attention grabbing, right?
Yeah.
But I saw this thing, and let me tell you this, I was down with COVID. I was sick with COVID. I caught COVID one time, and this was the time I caught it. This was 2020, I think. And I was sitting back. I was in Texas. I was getting ready to go on vacation, and I wound up going to Texas by my mom, and I caught COVID down there. So my wife, she had to stay here in Vegas. I had to stay away from her for a couple weeks or whatever. Long story short, I was watching the trial of the January 6th insurrection, and I saw the testimonial of, you know, the guys that was the police and everybody that was trying to guard the building and fight off the protesters and stuff. And one guy, he got up there and was crying, a black guy, and he was like how they talked to him and stuff like that. And I felt that. I felt every bit of that. And that's what made me a little more interested in saying, you know what, we need to learn from this. We need to pull from this as a culture, as a hip
Mhm.
hop culture. We need to pull from this, even though this is not our battle. This got nothing to do with us as in particular. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it does. And it really does, because if we pull anything from this, we'll learn this is a teachable moment. You know what I'm saying? And it's not necessarily bad. It's not a matter of fact, I put myself in the shoes of those people that was out there. You know what I mean? And why they was out there. And I understand it. You know what I mean? I'm not
Right.
siding with it as right, and I'm not siding with it as is wrong. You know, I'm all about freedom of speech. I'm all about, you know, free will. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
stressing what you need to say. But I pulled from that and I said, I got to talk about this stuff. This got to, but I got to come across. I don't want to come across as being one sided. You know, my little brother, he kind of gave me the analysis like, you need to tell it all. Don't tell it from one side, tell it from all. And when we said that, I said, you know what? My biggest thing to do is bring everybody together. We need to put everybody together. We all need to come together as human beings. You know, you and my brother, you know, we all bleed the same. You know, we all breathe the
Right.
same. Yeah, you know, we got different cultures. We got different ways that we all come up. But in actuality, you bust it down, it's all the same. You know what I mean? We all got different brackets, different financial brackets we come through, middle class, lower class, poverty, you know, rich. You know,
Yeah.
we all got these things that we have, but there's something in common with all of us, and that's we all human beings. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to stress on this album. It's more like bringing the world together. It's gonna be a hell of a task. It's a wishful thinking moment to me when I think about it, because I don't know how far I'm going to get with this, but
How
I'm willing to take the risk.
how are you because with something so divisive, as like the January 6th thing, how do you plan on bringing everybody together from both sides to kind of like unite, I guess, essentially in a song?
That's a good question. I'm still searching for the answer for that. And but the thing is, I can tell you why I'm the starting point. The starting point is addressing all of these issues that we deal with as human beings. We all know that all governments across the world got their thumbs on us, on our backs. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We all know that we all love free will. You know, we all know that we got criminals, crooks, in politicians, in politics. We know that. You know, so where is the righteousness at? Where are the people that's going to stand for the right? What's that's going to
Mhm.
stand up for righteousness?
Right.
Where's the thing about one nation under God? Where's that? Is that gone now?
Right.
Because when we was in elementary school, we saluted the flag and we said one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where is that? So
Well,
that's a starting point for me.
at some
I'm
point, that became super controversial to do.
I know, and I don't understand that. I
I
don't.
don't. I think we come from a different a different era, but I don't understand it either because it gave you a sense of unity when
It's
you growing up. You realize that you're part of something that's bigger than you, and you're bigger than the classroom. You're part of the country, and
absolutely.
if you don't do that, you don't practice that. You don't. I guess you lose that sense of unity in a way.
Well, that's the point, right? The thing I'm trying to make is that that's what I'm trying to restore the unity, if that makes sense. This
Yeah.
insurrection thing is not what people gonna think it is. I know people gonna look at it. I got the album covers done and everything. The artwork is crazy. I think the artwork itself is gonna be very controversial. But
I love it.
yeah, I know. But this is hip hop, right? So you got to push the line.
Yeah.
Um, you got to push the line. So my whole point about this is re-inciting unity, bringing unity back to our whole community as a whole. And like I said, everybody. I don't look at you no different than I look at my other brother Dave. You know what I mean? I don't look at you know nobody no different. We all in this together. We all got adversities and things that we challenging with in the society. So what are we gonna do? What are we
Yeah.
gonna do? Because
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, if you look at hip hop and the state of hip hop, where it's at, and the powers that be that's running hip hop, they're not trying to unite us. They're trying to divide us, man. You know what I
Now,
mean?
you say the
And
powers that be, who would that be?
I would say the record label execs that don't know much about the culture, that they only looking at numbers. You know what I mean? They're just looking at numbers. They're not looking at the lives that it's touching or the lives that it's destructing. When you put out, and I'm not naming any type of artist, but when you put out the type of music that's out now for the girls, the young girls that's coming up to look up to, where are we going? What are we doing? You know?
Mhm.
Well,
Right.
the young brothers that's claiming the set and this, that, and other that don't rightfully belong to them. What are we doing? But these are the records that they're putting out there. We got all these snitching accusations and all of these different things that's put out there in hip hop that's very poisonous that they don't want. Rap used to be a thing where we was able to learn from each other. When I never really heard about it until I heard Ice Cube speak about it, or Tupac speak about it, or Chuck D, or Karis One, or any one of these great MCs.
Well, you
Um,
kinda go back if you go back to, like, rap battles,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
That's the foundation of learning from each other because you're riffing off of each other's rap.
Yeah, rap battles are. I just went to recently. I just went to a rap battle here in Vegas. The cookout. Shout out to my man at the gas station studios out here in Vegas, man. Damien and Gas, man. They put on a really big. They got this thing they got going on, and man, I had a blast. It was a blast. These guys, they were very disrespectful. The rap battles that they doing now is very disrespectful, but it's so entertaining and it's good sportsmanship.
That
They
I mean, you kinda have to have that, right? You have to have
definitely gotta have
sort of have to have thick
gotta
skin.
have it. You gotta have it, man. It's all good. You lose, you lose. You get but everybody that touched that stage that night was extremely talented. I mean, very talented.
Is that something that you dabble in a little bit? Do you do rap battles at all?
Nah, I'm
No.
not. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to. I don't want to do rap battles. I'm just a spectator. I'm just actually admiring.
I would imagine that's gotta be, like, a kind of a different level of, like, talent in a sense, right? It's kind of like doing stand-up comedy. Like,
It's
it
definitely,
you have
definitely.
to, like I don't know, it's a skill I guess you have to develop.
You know what? I learned that night too, because it's like sequences. They build it up to make their points and stuff like that. They punchlines. It's amazing. I learned so much that night with them
That's
guys.
crazy.
I'm not trying to be a battle rapper. I could never do that. I'll just make good records. Let me just make my records and produce, and I'm good.
So, what kind of artists do you take on other artists to produce them or, like,
I work with a lot of artists, plenty of artists. Right
as far
now
as, like, up and coming, or do you work with already established artists?
I work with both. I work with both.
Okay,
Right now, I'm not trying to sign any artists. My thing with the younger artists that's coming up under me, I tell them I don't have to sign you because you can do this on your own. You got social media. You got something that I didn't have when I was coming up. If I would have had social media and all that stuff when I was in my prime, back in the early days, stages in my career, I would have been blew up years ago, years ago. But it's fall. It all set for them now. They could do these things on their own. Now I give them. I'm an A&R. I did have a position with this company in New York and as an A&R. You know what I mean? I worked on a project for VH1, the Planet Rock project that came out some years ago, back in 2011. I did the soundtrack for it, but it kind of fell through the cracks because the deal fell through the cracks with VH1 with the company that I was with at the time. But I never took away the title of A&R because I played that position and I'm willing to do it again, after I make my thing solid, after I get
right.
everything out like I want to do it. But far as developing artists, I think that's what the business also is missing. We're missing A&R ship. We're missing, artist development and stuff like that. Because back in the time when I was coming up, that's what it was all about. You know what I'm saying? It was all about artist development. We don't have that anymore in hip hop.
Right.
Everybody just kind of getting in. And matter of fact, the artist development, if you're looking at them on YouTube and just, Instagram and all of these different platforms, that's their development right there. They getting on from that and making money doing it. So can't stop that if it's working for you.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's
that one, rapper that I was telling you about earlier, Sway Boy that I know, he has a pretty big following on TikTok, and
awesome. TikTok is the move, man.
TikTok is the move, that's where everybody is.
I'm just getting on TikTok, by the way. I'm just starting to learn
Really?
TikTok. Yeah, I put a few videos out on it now, and it's growing every day. I'm getting followers every day on it. I'm not up there yet, but eventually it'll grow. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm incorporating it in more like stuff that I post and stuff like that. So yeah,
Right, right.
it's all good. I like TikTok. I like TikTok a lot.
So, when can people expect your newest album to drop?
I'm shooting for the springtime release, classic status. I'm rolling out the album now. I'm in the studio now. I'm looking at it. We're going to shoot it. Like I said, we got the video I win coming out. That's going to probably release in March. And
Okay.
behind that is the album is going to be coming out right behind that. They're going to be looking for it then somewhere between March and April, something like that.
What do you anticipate happening after you release it? What kind of success do you think it'll bring?
I think it's going to bring. I think it's going to put things back in perspective with the core of the hip hop, the hip hop foundation. I think that it's going to because what I really want to do with this album is bring back the MC and the DJ essence of it. We don't have that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Remember, we used to have CL Smooth, Pete Rock and CL Smooth, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince,
Right.
Rap and DJ Polo and Gang Star with DJ Premier. Rest in peace to the great Guru. All of these different. We don't have that anymore, and that was the essence of hip hop because we always had an MC, and a DJ. I'm bringing that back to it. And with DJ Blacknificent, I actually got two DJs, DJ Blacknificent and DJ Dragos. I'm bringing it back to those guys are pros. Those guys, I'm standing on the heels of those guys, on the shoulders of those guys. But I'm bringing that back. This album is going to bring back those essence. It's going to be a feel good album. I don't want to put anything dark on there. I got one inspirational song called "I'm Blessed" that I'm going to put on there. It's very inspirational. If it ain't inspiring and it ain't fun, I ain't putting it on this album. You know what I mean? Because I'm kind of making way for this insurrection album. This insurrection album is going to be a little bit more darker and turned up, you know, on the political side. That I'm gonna need to save all of that for that book right there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm
'Cause
just gonna say, you know, the thing is like so many people get very upset about controversial stuff, you know, whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it. I don't know if I'll agree with it or not. That's the thing. I'm sure that I will because you plan on bringing everybody together and you
Absolutely,
try and unite. But I just love that you're taking that step
absolutely.
and you're taking the step and you're kind of putting yourself out there in a vulnerable way to where you don't know how the public's going to how they're going to perceive it.
I'll put it to you this way, right? There's only one way to find out. There's only one way to find out. I'm very keen on what I'm trying to do. I already know the mission. I know what the purpose is, and also I'm a spiritual person. So at the end of the day, spiritually, the gods is going to allow me and take me where I need to go, and they're going to put the right things for me to talk about and address in this project. So far, like I said, I got 7 records done for this album for the insurrection. 7 strong songs. I mean, strong. Um, and it's gonna make sure it's gonna shake up the hip hop. I'm doing all this for hip hop, all in the name of hip hop. Honestly, there's no political. I'm not trying to make no political statement. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to do none of that. It's all for hip hop, all for hip hop. Now, politically in hip hop, I'm doing it for that, but not far as the Democrats and the Republicans.
Right.
I don't want to get into that. That's
You're
not my.
not you're not stating your political ideologies. You're talking about a subject.
I'm talking about a subject, and then the whole aim is to bring everybody together and bring awareness to
Right.
where we need to be is a culture. This is
Right.
all for hip hop. It's all for hip hop. And I think once this album is done and the first couple songs be perceived, I think people. I leak one song. I got one song that's leaked off of it right now called Left Wing, Right Wing. It's being very diplomatic, very diplomatic. It's not taking one side, it's not taking the other side. It's all in between. And it's just bringing awareness to it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you know, the response I got from it is pretty good. It's pretty good. It's positive response. People are down with it. You know, they love it. You know, and it's strong. It's very strong. The production is strong. The message is strong, and it ain't nobody talking about this stuff right now. So I kind of like I'm the artist and the producer. When I'm in artist form, I like to go the direction ain't nobody at right now. So
Right.
if I'm over here in that corner over there, and everybody that way, and they try to get to the middle, I'll get to the middle before them. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody else running behind something and
That's
trying
the
to.
way to be.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm always trying to do the opposite, man. You know.
Now, do you perform publicly at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been toured and everything. I haven't done anything in a while because I actually kind of stepped away from everything for a minute to pursue my other careers and focus on my other careers. But recently, you know, like I said, I've kind of been itching to get back in it with that. I was going to do the insurrection to come back, but I found out that people were scared to touch it. So I was like, you know what? Let me try another direction here. Then you got the hip hop 50th anniversary and came by, and classic status was on my table, and I had to put it out, and I pitched it out there, and people gravitated to it, and they want more. So I got to give them more. I
I
got
love
to. They pull me back into it now, so I'm full throttle with it now.
That's
So
awesome.
actually, you're gonna be seeing. I will be touring soon. I just ain't got nothing lined up yet. I'm trying to finish the album. I kind of don't want to be out there right now. I got a lot of stuff my team is bringing to me right now, a lot of appearances and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I just want to finish this album first. And once I finish it, get it all the way super solid, I'll be ready to get on the road and do a couple shows. I
Do you
love
think
it.
do you think you'll perform outside of Las Vegas
Of
or
course,
in other states?
absolutely. Every time I do shows, is always on tour.
What
So
about Michigan? You think you'll come to Michigan?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah?
Michigan will definitely be on the menu.
When you
Definitely.
come to Michigan, let's link up.
Absolutely. I would love to, man. I'm gonna reach out to you as well. So that's
All
definitely.
right. All right, cool. Because I'll come to the show and we'll do we'll do some sort of interview again.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to, man. You already know, man. That's a definite.
All right, that's awesome, man. I'm excited now. You
Yeah,
need to be on tour.
yeah. I'm excited too, Dave. I'm excited. Look, I'm excited that you're excited. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about, And it's been a long time coming for me, man. I've been in business for a long time, and I've been through so many different eras and different phases in the game, and just to be able to share my 1-2 with everybody and put my perspective out, because I done helped so many people out with their albums and produced and got behind this stuff. I never really was able to really get my thing together like I really wanted to, and now it's all kind of making sense and it's all kind of lining up. So I'm very, very excited about what's happening right now. And so far this year, 24, has been a busy year for me so far, man. So
I
far,
love it.
really crazy.
Well, I hope nothing but success for the album and for you,
Thank you.
and I can't wait to see what comes next. So
Man, I win. That's the next single. It's ready. It's done. We're gearing up. The video shoot is here in Vegas. I wish it was here, man, on the 24th. We're shooting a video. It's gonna be a major video. It's gonna be a huge video. Um, with the success of Classic Status and all of the response from Classic Status, like we hit a million views in like 10, 12 days on World Star, and now it's at a million views on YouTube now, and the responses is crazy, the streaming is crazy. So I'm looking forward to this one because everybody, my whole team, everybody around me, like, yo, this I win is going to be the one. The sports arena is going to pick this up and run with it because it's one of the type of records. It's up tempo, it's hyper, it's inspiring, man. It's one of them songs you put on in the morning when you wake up and get your day started. You know what I mean? It's one of them type of songs, and that's we all had one of them albums that we listened to a song, or even put it in a playlist, and you got that one song that you get the day started with, and you get your blood pumping. You know what I'm saying? This is that record. This is that record right here.
That's awesome, dude. That's so awesome. I'm pumped. I can't wait to listen.
Absolutely, I can't wait to give it to you.
Well, thanks for doing the podcast. This was honestly when I logged on, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know what I'm going to talk to you about.
Nah, it's all good.
I don't know what the subject's going to be. I knew that you're a rapper and I knew about your success. I've read about you. I've listened to your music. I've seen all those things, but I'm like, I don't know like how we're going to connect because I'm not a musician I'm not. I played trumpet in high school. That was it. But besides that, I'm not a musician. So I'm like, I don't really know how I'm going to connect with you. But no, you're an easy person to talk to, super down to earth. And this was a lot of fun.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. It was my pleasure, and I wish you the greatest success. Rising Above podcast, man. I really appreciate the opportunity to come out and share my side of the story, man. And I'm really, really excited to give you guys what's coming. Like I told you, I'm just getting started again, man. I'm just cranking the engine back up, and so far it's been running. It's running smoothly, and everything is popping. And once I finish this album, my focus right now is to finish the album. Get the album done, rolling it out, and getting it out to you guys, man, and having you guys enjoy it. Because once you hear the whole project, and you hear every song, and you hear how it's all matched together, you'll get the full vision of it then. You know what I mean? Right. I also got this other album that I got in the works too that I'm going to do with my partner, Raziendo. Shout out to Raziendo, my Belizean reggae artist. We're getting ready to do something like a Distant Relatives with Damian Marley and Nas did. Get ready to do one of them. And we've been brainstorming on that one too. And that's another project that I'm really excited about getting to as well. But that's going to be after the insurrection and and stuff like that. It probably won't come out to 25, to be honest with you. But we'll start on it. But we're going to start on it like soon, real soon. I'm kind of like in the phase where I want to get all of these albums and these songs done ahead of time, so when I pitch them out there, I can just run behind them.
Right. I mean? So when you drop your album, is it going to drop on streaming platforms like Spotify?
Apple? Yeah, it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be on all streaming platforms, definitely. Most
Okay.
definitely.
Cool.
I got distribution set up already for it and stuff. You know, I got a label just reached out to me in Canada yesterday. You know, I got my lawyers looking over the contracts and stuff like that. So there is a big possibility that, you know, we may get picked up by another major entity to kind of give us the machine that we really need. But I'm more an independent kick. I'm very independent. I love being independent. I love owning all of my stuff. I love having my own, you know, scheduling. I ain't got nobody like telling me, hey, you got to get this album done at this time. No. I'm a perfectionist. So let me
Right.
take the time and get it right. So when I deliver it, the people be happy with it and it changed the world. That's what we're trying to do.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
I love it. I love it. Thanks again for doing the podcast. Is there anything else you wanna shout out there before we wrap it up?
Yo, check out my website, www.soulstimulusent.com. Check me out on all the social media. Follow me at Gista_G on Twitter, Facebook. I just the official Gista page. You know, Sean Gista Self is my Facebook page. TikTok, Gista_G. I'm all over the internet. Pretty much just Google me, man.
I'll have all that in the show notes too, so anybody listening can just go there and find you. So
yeah, look out for Classic Status. The video out right now. Check out the video. Support the single. Real hip hop is back. You know, shout out to DJ Blacknificent. You know, he's on the record, and you know, we're doing an amazing job right now, man. We just getting started, man. So y'all look out for everything, and I appreciate all the love and support from each and every one of you guys across the world. This is a worldwide movement.
absolutely. All right. Thanks a lot, G. So this was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me, man. Blessings to you and Rising Above podcast. Peace, man.
All right. Peace. Thank you.
Thank you.